Hi everybody, this is the Baseball Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the people's champion, your host, the Hut, and we are back here at the Baseball Hut. We ring the bell for the Max Scherzer deal for Luis Angel Acuna. He will be coming to the Mets. Scherzer has been traded. He was traded last night. It was officially announced, I guess, during the Met game or right before the Met game started. Right before the Met game started. But before we get into this video, and we talk about Justin Verlander as well, I need you to subscribe. This channel I am at the forefront. I am at the forefront of excellence here on YouTube. Quite, to be honest with you, low tech, but I do a lot of, I work very hard on knowing my Mets team. And I watch all the games, and I'll tell you what I think about a player. It's all about the name on the front, not the name on the back. I was concerned about this team in April by how they were playing, and they just didn't look right, and it's come to this when they have traded Max Scherzer. So now that Scherzer is gone, interestingly enough, the Rangers are going crazy. They're making all kinds of moves. They made a move. They traded for Jordan Montgomery, and they got Chris Stratton from the Cardinals. I'll have a video on that on the Baseball Hut too. And obviously with Max Scherzer now having been traded from the Mets to the Rangers, and now the Mets have basically said that they are not only waving the white flag for this year, but they are kind of taking a bit of a step back in terms of being a superstar team next year. Billy Epler came back and said it's not necessarily a rebuild. It's just taking the money that owner Steve Cohen has had placed onto the team and put them in other places. As you know, if you've been a Met fan a long time, we all talk about the Mets in the 80s. Why was that team so good? Because their foundation was built on pitching, on young players, and being able to bring people in and out. Now, they brought in some big veterans, obviously Keith Hernandez, Gary Carter, to help this team. But the core of that group was a young core. And that's kind of what the Mets need to start to do now. I don't think that they will be a top echelon team next year, but they need to get better over the next 4 or 5 years now. This is not a situation now that this is sustainable. You can't keep bringing in veterans and think that that's going to sustain you. I think we've seen all these veteran players struggle to do a good job. I mean, they did not do a good job as a group. So what they have done is they traded Max Scherzer, which I was very surprised that they got this big of a prospect, and Acuna. I mean, he was rated number 3 by MLB.com as the 3rd best prospect with the Texas Rangers, and the Rangers have a big farm system. They have some very impressive talent in their minor league system, and they brought in a lot more talent, and a couple weeks ago during the draft. Having, I think, drafted and signed Wyatt Langford, they were have worked very hard to be bad and rebuild that farm. So for the Mets, in spite of the fact that they took a lot of money, they sent a lot of money to the Rangers. The fact that the Mets were able to get that high of a rated prospect says how hard that they have worked to make this team better long term. Now, according to MLB.com, since they updated it, Acuna is the 2nd best prospect in the Mets organization. That is huge. I will have a video on the Prospect Hut discussing him more in depth over the next few days, because there's a lot there. Obviously, with his brother being a superstar, there's a lot out there on him. And I will have a video later just to do a scouting report and a little story about Acuna's brother, Ronald. I would mention that Ronald Acuna Jr., his father played in the Mets minor leagues. I didn't know that until last night, that Ronald Acuna Sr. was in the Met minor leagues. So there is a family connection with the Mets and the Acuna family. But Acuna brings in a lot of different things. He's an athletic kid. He's going to be playing shortstop, but according to Billy Epler, they're going to play him in different positions. He's played second. He's played the outfield. He's a little rough around the edges. I think he needs a little bit smoothing out. He will probably, in all likelihood, be an everyday player. Is he going to be an elite player? That is to be determined on whether he's able to make these adjustments that he needs to make in his game. It seems like discipline, swinging at the balls over his head, seems to be a problem. All the things you would think about with the player, and he needs to sort of develop a little more power. But he does have a lot of speed. This year in 80 games for the Double-A team, for the Rangers, he has stolen 42 bases. So he can steal bases, just like his brother. Now, the Mets have added him on. And I would, again, mention, subscribe to the Prospect Hut. You'll see all these prospects on there that you've never heard about. And I will be reading all kinds of scouting reports. Having all kinds of fun on there. And you'll like it, too. But now to Justin Verlander. Verlander pitched today. He has pitched really well over the last month. There have been a few teams attached to him in terms of wanting to trade for him. One team seems to be off the board, and that's the Houston Astros, because their general manager said they are looking for bullpen help. So I would expect that the Astros, even though the owner wants him badly back in Texas, back in Houston, it doesn't seem like he's going back to the Astros. So you got, and I wouldn't make that deal anyway with the Houston because they don't have a good farm system right now. You would have to go in and trade him for a player that they just drafted. The Mets can do a little bit better, and then you have to ask yourself, well, what's the value of Verlander if they can get a number 45 best prospect overall for Scherzer? Well, we do have rumors of the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Cincinnati Reds. And those two teams have big prospects and big farm systems. Now, I don't think that he would accept the deal, Verlander, to go to Cincinnati. But Los Angeles is a different animal altogether. Because obviously the opportunities for his wife and himself is very similar to being here. But like I said, they have a large farm system, a deep farm system. Any player you get, in that situation, you'll get somebody good. And the Reds, like I said, the Reds, I don't see that happening. I would mention a couple of teams on my list that would be very, very interested in him. I would think the Angels would be interested in him, because they're all in trying to win this year, try to keep Ohtani for next year. The Arizona Diamondbacks, I know there was rumors of Max Scherzer going back to the Arizona as he started his career there. Keep an eye on the San Francisco Giants. They have been trying for years to get a big player. This could be the big player that they're seeking, and obviously San Francisco and the opportunities there. Keep an eye on a player. If I were the Mets, you target this player. He is the best pitcher in their organization in the minor leagues, their best prospect. He's a left-hander. His name is Kyle Harrison. Keep an eye on him. I had mentioned in a video on the Baseball 2 about what the Mets could expect to get from Max Scherzer. I said maybe they'd get their fifth best prospect, which was Jack Leiter. I didn't realize the Mets had higher aspirations. But Justin Verlander could probably get you Kyle Harrison. So, and they did make a trade last year. Obviously, that really bad trade for Darren Ruff for J.D. Davis and those other prospects, those middling prospects. But that's a thing to keep an eye on with the Mets as we go forward. Obviously, Mark Canha is on the block. Tommy Pham is on the block. I would expect them to be a lot of moves being made. I mentioned again from last night that Gary Cohen said on the broadcast on Friday that every player is up for grabs. Every player could be moved aside from Lindor, Brandon Nimmo, and of course Edwin Diaz, basically because of the contracts. Now, I've been on Twitter sort of asking the question, would Pete Alonso get moved? I wouldn't do it, but you'd have to. I would listen. If you want to really, transform your farm system into the number one farm system, that's the guy to move. I wouldn't want to do it, but I would think about it. It's just a suggestion. And Jeff McNeil, I would mention Jeff McNeil's contract is not crazy. After this year, he makes $15 million over the next 4 years, which is not insane money for a guy that is won a batting title. But he is 31 years old. So keep that in mind about Jeff McNeil. But I think it was also interesting that the last 3 wins the Mets have had, that Brooks Raley has closed out the game. Don't be surprised if he gets moved. I know he's got another year on his contract. Don't be surprised if he gets moved. Also, I would mention that Billy Epler said that they are looking for premium talent back because they know the value of this group. We know that this is a very talented Mets team. That's why their performance is so confounding. It's so frustrating. So we will see what happens over the next 2 days. I will be here chronicling here, there, everywhere. I'll be everywhere. I'll be everywhere on this channel, Baseball 2, and of course the Prospect Hut. Gotta subscribe to that. Well, anyway, let me know what you think about this video. Of course, we're gonna get through this. We have bumps in the road. This was a bad season. This was not a great group of Mets. I don't think there's any real bad guys on the team, but I think it just didn't work. And I think sometimes it doesn't fire, and it didn't fire with this group for whatever reason. I don't think the chemistry was there. So, say la vie. Well, thank you for watching this video. Of course, please subscribe to the Baseball Hut. Thank you, and I'll see you later.